Take a moment to think about the pace inside your organization right now. Not the strategy, not the org chart, the pace. Does it feel like there's still room to think? Or does it feel like everything has become more reactive, more rushed, more tense, and essentially driven by whatever's on fire today? Most senior leaders I speak with describe the same thing. Urgency has stopped feeling temporary, and it's become the way the system operates. And after a while, that starts to affect everything. How people speak, how people decide, how people respond, and how much pressure people can carry before they start shutting down. And most people explain this as workload. And yes, workload's part of it, but it's not the whole story. Because two organizations can be under the same pressure and feel completely different inside. One feels reactive and fragmented, the other feels stretched, but still stable. Same sector, same pressures, but different leadership architecture. And one of the biggest differences here is the regulation layer. In the Leadership Performance Cascade, the regulation layer sits directly below identity. It answers a simple question. When pressure and stress hits the leader, does it stop there or does it spread? That is regulation. Not pretending that pressure is not there, not staying calm because nothing matters. Regulation is the ability to stay settled enough under pressure that you do not automatically pass that pressure on to everyone around you. A regulated leader can still feel the weight, but they can think clearly. They can hold the space. They can respond instead of reacting. An unregulated leader feels the same pressure but starts passing it along. And it shows up in their body language, their speed, their tone. They have quicker and less thought out decisions, lower tolerance, and less space for uncertainty. And the people around them feel it immediately. Stress does not stay where it lands. It moves through the leadership system, and it almost always moves downward. That is the regulation layer. It's not a wellness issue first. It is a structural issue. It determines whether pressure gets absorbed at the top or gets passed down through the whole system. So I saw this very clearly in rural healthcare. In a small rural hospital, there's nowhere to hide. The team is small, the environment is tight, and people quickly know how the leader's doing. You feel the leader before you even speak to them. And I watched what happened when a senior leader came in carrying unprocessed stress and pressure. Within a very short time, the whole unit felt different. Staff were irritated and short with each other. People stopped bringing those extra things forward. And decision making slowed down because nobody wanted to add more to the pile. And a quiet sense of tension was just there and settled in over the day. And everyone just tried to get through the day. And then another time, I saw a different leader under similar pressure walk into a similar environment, same kinds of demands, same kind of constraints, but this leader was more settled. Not pretending everything was fine, just not being run by the pressure. And so the whole unit felt completely different. People still brought problems forward, decisions got made efficiently, and the day moved along efficiently as well. And so here it is, same pressure, different regulation, therefore a different system response. That pattern does not disappear in bigger organizations. It just takes longer to feel because there's more layers between the executive level and the front line. But it's still happening. When the executive layer is reactive, the reactivity moves downward. Directors feel it and tighten up. Managers feel it and stop taking initiative. And frontline staff feel it, and it affects their work. The whole system shifts into protection mode. And nobody planned it that way. It simply is what happens when pressure has nowhere to go but down. Healthcare has invested heavily in resilience, wellness programs, mindfulness support, resilience training, and staff support resources. And these things can help. I'm not dismissing them, but most of them are aimed at the individual. They ask people to become more resilient inside a system that keeps producing more pressure than the structure of the system is capable of holding. It's like handing somebody a better bucket while the pipe keeps leaking. Well, the bucket may help for a while, but it does not fix the leak. And that's the issue here. The regulation problem in many healthcare systems is not that people are not resilient. It's that the architecture or the setup of the system itself is pushing too much pressure into the wrong places. So one person ends up carrying what should be shared. One team is holding what the structure should be redistributing for everybody. And then everyone's asked to cope better inside of a system that just keeps overloading them. If you trace it back, the regulation problem is often being produced by the identity layer above it. The leader who feels they must carry everything themselves will usually struggle to stay regulated under pressure. And that's not random. That is the cascade working in sequence. These layers are connected, and that's the whole point. Regulation at the executive level is not just a personal skill. It's a design issue. You do not fix it only by teaching better coping. You fix it by changing what the architecture is asking one person to hold. So, what happens when the regulation layer stays under chronic stress and strain? 3 things show up very consistently. Number 1, strategic thinking starts to disappear. When urgency becomes the normal mode, there is very little room left for thinking ahead. And so people focus on what's on fire now. Prevention becomes less. Planning gets weaker. And the system becomes worse at solving and stopping the problems it keeps encountering. Number 2, psychological safety drops. When a leader is visibly overloaded or reactive, people stop bringing difficult things forward. And it's not because they were told not to, but because the situation no longer feels safe for it. So problems get delayed, signals get muted or softened, and issues surface late, and of course, often as crises. Third, decision quality gets worse. A regulated leader has greater access to their judgment. An unregulated leader makes decisions from a much narrower place. The decisions might be faster, but they're often less solid. And over time, the team starts bracing for decision reversals, mixed directions, or those decisions that don't stick. And all of that moves directly into the layers below. Psychological safety, communication, culture, and performance. And this is why performance interventions often do not stick. Because those performance outcomes are being addressed while the pressure pattern above it is still running and problematic. So In the next episode, I'm going to dig into the psychological safety layer. Why silence in meetings is not agreement, and what silence is actually telling you, and what it costs when leaders keep misreading it. And if this episode brought something into focus for you, then I'd like you to start with the executive leadership briefing below, and I'll put the link in the description below. It gives you a simple map of the full leadership performance cascade and how all of those layers connect. And if you want to keep going, I will see you on the next episode.